Welcome back, the rare and valuable coins. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Abraham Lincoln Wheat Pennies and rare Lincoln Wheat Cents. But not just any coins, we're talking about the ones that sold for thousands of dollars at auction. So, let's get started. First up, the 1988 Lincoln 1-cent coin, with a large date and the Denver D mint mark, specifically in fine condition. You might be wondering, is this penny valuable? Could it be worth more than face value? Let's find out. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1909, created to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It originally featured wheat ears on the reverse, then transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, where it remained until 2008. The 1988 Lincoln cent belongs to the Lincoln Memorial era, and it was produced by the Billions at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. This one comes from Denver, marked with a small D under the date. While most 1988 Lincoln cents have a standard large date, some collectors are still on the lookout for variations. Large date refers to the size and spacing of the numerals in the year. It's more common than a small date, which in 1988 is not a major error or variety, but it's still important to be aware of the difference. So what does fine condition mean? For a 1988 D penny, in coin grading, fine is a mid-range circulated grade. It means the coin shows moderate wear, but retains most of the design detail. You'll still see Lincoln's profile clearly, though the finer lines in his hair and jacket might be worn down. In fine condition, there may be some discoloration or minor scratches, but nothing that seriously damages the coin's integrity. Now, for the big question, what is a 1988 D Lincoln penny with a large date in fine condition worth in today's market? Because the 1988 D penny had a high mintage, over 5.2 billion coins were produced, it is considered very common. In fine condition, its typical market value ranges from 1 cent, face value, up to about 10 cents, depending on demand and whether the buyer is filling a spot in their collection. While this coin isn't rare or highly valuable on its own, it still plays an important role for collectors, especially those putting together complete Lincoln Memorial sets. A clean 1988 D with a large date and consistent patina makes for a solid example in circulated collections. If you're holding on to coins like this for the long term, avoid cleaning them. Use coin flips or cardboard 2x2 holders to protect them from moisture and friction. Even coins worth a few cents can become part of a larger, more valuable set later on. Good question, are there rare 1988 Lincoln pennies? Actually, yes. One of the most notable is the 1988 reverse of 1989 error, where a small number of 1988 pennies were struck with a reverse die meant for 1989. These can sell for $10 to 50 pesos, depending on condition. If you think your 1988 D has that error, check. For the FG initials near the base of the memorial, their position is the main clue. That's a whole different level of value. Next up, the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent coin, featuring a large date and no mint mark, and we'll be talking about its value in very fine condition in today's market. The Lincoln cent made its debut in 1909, designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The wheat reverse was used until 1958, and then replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. The 1979 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The back features the Lincoln Memorial, and if you look closely, you can see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside. You might notice your 1979 penny doesn't have a mint mark. Don't worry, that's completely normal. Coins without a mint mark were made at the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't add mint marks to Lincoln cents until 1980. In 1979, there were two varieties of date styles used on Lincoln cents: the large date and the small date. The large date is more common, especially on Philadelphia minted coins. You can tell the difference by looking at the 9 and 7 in the year. In the large date version, they appear taller and bolder. The large date variety is what we're focusing on today, and it's the most likely version you'll find in your change. Very fine is a mid-level circulated grade. In this condition, the coin shows moderate wear, but key details are still clear. You can see most of Lincoln's hair, his jawline is distinct, and the lettering is sharp. In today's market, this coin typically sells for between 5 and 15 cents, depending on demand and the buyer. While it's not rare, it's still worth up to 15 times its face value. If you happen to have a 1979 large date penny in uncirculated or mint state MS 65 plus condition, that's when the value starts to increase significantly, sometimes up to $5 to $15 or more, especially if it's graded by services like PCGS or NGC. Todd 1979 isn't known for major error varieties, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't check. Look out for things like off-center strikes, broad strikes, or die cracks. These can bump the value of even a common penny into the 10 to 50 plusers range. Quick tip: never clean your coins. It might seem like a good idea to make them shiny, but cleaning can scratch the surface and ruin the natural patina, reducing both the grade and the value. So, while the 1979 Lincoln penny with a large date and no mint mark may not be a rare coin, it's still a fun and affordable collectible. In very fine condition, it can fetch 5 to 15 cents. Not bad for something you might find in your change today. Next up, the 1964 Lincoln penny, with a large date and no mint mark, but here's the twist. The coin is in dirty condition. What does that mean for its value today? Let's find out. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American coinage since 1909. By 1964, the penny was still featuring the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse design introduced in 1959. That year, pennies were minted primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place a mint mark on pennies at the time, so no mint mark means it's from Philadelphia. In 1964, the Lincoln penny was struck with two date styles: the large date and the small date. The large date variety has taller and more pronounced numbers compared to the small date. The large date has a more elongated 6 and a wider 4, making the date appear bigger overall. This is the more common variety in 1964 pennies. Knowing which variety you have can be important for collectors. Dirty condition refers to coins that have significant surface dirt, oxidation, or environmental damage. This can include dark spots, grime buildup, or surface corrosion that obscures details. While the coin is still collectible, its grade and value can be negatively impacted. Remember, cleaning coins improperly can further reduce their value. So, if your penny looks dirty, it's best to leave it alone and handle it carefully. Coins in dirty condition typically fall in the about good AG to good G grade range. In these grades, the coin shows heavy wear and surface problems, but the basic design and date remain visible. For our 1964 large date penny, this means the details like Lincoln's profile and the date might be faint or partially obscured by dirt. Now, what is a 1964 Lincoln penny large date with no mint mark worth in today's market if it's in dirty condition? Because the 1964 penny was minted in very large numbers, over 2 billion, and is common, its value in dirty condition usually remains close to face value, around 1 cent, or maybe just a few cents if a collector needs to fill a spot. While the coin itself might be low in value when dirty and worn, keep an eye out for any errors or unusual features like double dies, repunched dates, or off-center strikes. which can boost the value considerably. For example, certain rare errors on 1964 pennies can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But these are extremely rare compared to standard circulation coins. If you want to preserve the condition of your coins, avoid cleaning them, handle by the edges, and store them in acid-free holders or coin albums. This will keep them safe from further damage. Next up today, we're taking a close look at the 1994 Lincoln penny, with a large date and no mint mark. If you have one in your collection, or maybe found one in your change, you might be wondering, what is it worth today, especially in good condition? Let's break it down. The Lincoln cent has been a constant in American currency since 1909, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse from 1959 until 2008. The 1994 penny is part of that classic Lincoln Memorial series. In 1994, pennies were primarily minted in Philadelphia. That's why coins without mint mark are from the Philadelphia Mint, since they didn't use mint marks on pennies then. In 1994, the U.S. Mint produced two varieties of pennies, the large date and the small date. The large date has bolder, taller numbers, with the 9 and 4 noticeably larger and more prominent than on the small date. Good condition is a lower circulated grade, where the coin has noticeable wear, but the main details, including Lincoln's profile and the date, are still visible. On a 1994 penny, this means the coin shows signs of use, but the design isn't completely worn away. The 1994 Lincoln penny is quite common. Billions were minted. As such, in good condition, the coin's value is typically just above face value. In fact, most 1994 pennies in good condition sell for between 1 and 5 cents today. They're fun to collect, but not considered rare or high value. While the standard 1994 large date penny in good condition is low in value, there are always exceptions if you find error coins like doubled dies, off-center strikes, or other minting anomalies. These errors can make even a common coin quite valuable, sometimes commanding prices from a few dollars to hundreds, depending on rarity. If you want to keep your pennies in the best shape, avoid cleaning them, handle them by the edges, and store them in acid-free holders or coin albums. This preserves their condition and any potential value. Next up, the 1981 Lincoln penny with the large date and a D mint mark, specifically in fine condition. Is it worth more than a cent? Let's dive into the value, history, and everything else you need to know. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. By 1981, the reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had been part of the design since 1959. It was also the second to last year before a major composition change in 1982. In 1981, pennies were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. With Denver using the D mint mark, the 1981 penny comes in two varieties: large date and small date. On the large date, the numbers in the date appear thicker and bolder, with the tops of the 8 and 1 closer together and more rounded. If you hold the coin under a magnifier, the large date will be quite noticeable compared to the sharper, thinner small date version. The D mint mark below the date stands for the Denver Mint, which produced over 5.4 billion Lincoln cents in 1981. That makes the 1981 D penny fairly common, but collectors still look for high-grade and variety coins. In coin grading, fine or F condition means moderate wear is present, but major design elements are still clear. On a Lincoln penny, this includes clear visibility of Lincoln's face, hairline, and the date. Edges may be a bit worn, and the high points of the design can be smooth, but a fine-grade coin still holds collectible value. Because the 1981 D penny is quite common, its value in fine condition remains modest. Most sell for face value 1 cent, but in collector circles or bulk coin sales, they can go for a bit more. If you have a coin in fine condition with no errors or rare varieties, its individual market value is typically between 1 and 10 cents. It's not rare, but it's a cool historical piece, nonetheless. Some error coins from this year, like a doubled die obverse DDO or off-center strike, can fetch values from $25 to several $100s, depending on the error and condition. To wrap up, the 1981 D Lincoln penny with a large date in fine condition is a common and affordable coin with a value of about 1 to 10 cents. But it's a great addition for completing a Lincoln memorial set, and always worth a closer look for possible errors. Thanks for joining me on today's Penny Deep Dive. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss future videos on rare and valuable coins. Have a 1981 penny story or found an interesting coin in your change? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you.